Okay, so hopefully I am recording.
It should be a red light.
Yeah, something's happening.
Yeah.
So we're here today to interview Mr. Robert Berry for Psychedelic Scene magazine. Robert is a Grammy-nominated artist. He is so talented. Songwriting, singing, producing, engineering, a lot of different aspects of the music industry, and he's collaborated with a lot of true legends in the industry as well. So we're here today to talk about, you have a new album release, 3.2 album.
You wanted that. You wanted that, Robert Berry. I'm sorry.
I know he's there somewhere.
You got a wrong number.
So this album, this 3.2 album, 3.2 has quite an incredible and deep history and significance. Can you take us back to like the late 80s, kind of where this all started, and kind of tell us the story of 3 and 3.2?
Yeah, definitely the greatest time in my life. And for a lot of musicians, it would have been the greatest time of their life. I got to work with Carl Palmer, Keith Emerson from ELP. Nice. I sort of replaced Greg Lake, but we really started a new band. At the late 80s, bands like Yes and Genesis and ELP even were doing more formatted songs and not just the long 10-minute pieces. Yes had Owner of a Lonely Heart and stuff. They had hits, on the radio. Keith wanted a bit of that. Carl had that with Asia. They were looking for a new guy. Carl found me through Geffen Records, who was grooming me to be a Bryan Adams meets Sting kind of artist, straight rock with creativity, Yeah. And Carl liked that. And we actually tried for a year and a half to start a band, and we couldn't find the right players. Keith had stayed with Greg Lake and done Emerson, Lake and Powell during that time. Carl was doing Asia and left Asia, wanted to do something new. It just all got stirred up. Finally, after everything, I landed with Keith and Carl in the band 3, and we called it 3 because even the manager, Brian Lane, said that, ELP was called pompous sometime. What kind of name can we have that's not pompous? And he actually came up, how about the number 3? Well, that's not pompous. Okay, there's 3 of us. Okay. It was sort of a non-name name, which is just a number. So we did an album, worked a year on that, went on a tour. We had a top 10 song. The problem for Keith Emerson was that he hadn't done that more formatted, song-oriented thing like Carl had in Asia. So Keith got criticized by the ELP fans, but I didn't, of course. I was the new guy. That was my first big break. And they only said, we want Greg Lake back, which I understood because I was a Greg Lake fan too. So that didn't bother me. I said, yeah, I get that. But I'm here now. Too bad. Yeah. I figured, and we were gathering a lot of the young audience too. It wasn't just the old ELP people. So I was hoping to bridge that gap because I had started in progressive music when I was younger in my band Hush, local band here. But Keith got criticized a lot, so he broke up the band after our top 10 hit, and he was susceptible to that kind of thing. So 27 years later, a record company puts out a Live in Boston 3 album, and Keith signed, we all have to sign off on it to do it. And Keith signed off, money in the bank. Man, he didn't really think about it because he sort of left it behind. The criticism really wore him down for the band 3. Soon as it came after they pressed it, he actually listened to it and called me up right away and said, oh my God, we were such a good band. I had no idea. I went, well, Keith, I always thought so. And I didn't want to say, well, you let those guys, a couple letters he got. I figured there's no email then. We didn't all have cell phones that weren't the size of a shoebox. And Keith got handwritten letters from a couple guys that said, you're ruining your life, your whole reputation. So he left it behind. And here we are 27 years later, and he's going, whoa, we were so good. Oh my God. So I took the opportunity to say, how about we do a follow-up? He said, if things are right, he would. So I called the record company that had been bugging me for years, do another 3 album. I got us great money, complete artistic freedom, and how much time we had wanted to do it, but I got a year to do it. And Keith was thrilled. He went, whoa, who has that kind of money? Keith, I said, they want a 3 album. They want Keith Emerson on their label. This was Frontiers Records in Italy. So we started working on the album. What was odd for me later on was that whenever I talked with Keith, where we spent time together, he was happy. We were doing music together. And you can't see it, but behind this, you can see my board in the background here. You're in my recording studio right now. Behind this is the Pro Tools, and there's this piano. I'll go over here and turn it on so probably can hear that. So that's a cheap Casio piano I just used to tell singers when they're singing in there, hey, you're a little flat, or sing this note. But Keith had a Casio piano in his bedroom too, a real expensive one. Casio used to be the kind of thing you'd buy in Target, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're making these $5,000 digital pianos that are really fantastic. So we'd go back and forth like you are now. If we were writing a song, Zoom, FaceTime on the phone, it's like we're right in the room, right? We're playing back and forth. This was kind of his happy place doing music. And I never even felt he was despondent in any way than the normal, problems around the house. Yeah, the show in England didn't go that well. That kind of, stuff you talk about. And in the middle of doing that album, he committed suicide. He had a lot of health issues, impending heart problems. He had other home personal things going on that, I knew a little bit about, but I just thought they were a guy complaining, So I wasn't going to finish the album. The record company and Keith's son wanted me to finish it. And it was kind of tough. It took me a year to get going again, because that was, you figure, my most famous friend, the greatest keyboard player in the world, 27 years between albums. We had done other stuff. He'd worked on a Celtic rock album. He'd done a commercial. We'd done other stuff together, but not that thing that we had a hit song with. And emotionally, it was hard for me. And they kind of got me going on it, and I finished it up. I was worried it wasn't the right thing to do, but as I was doing it, it felt like the right thing to do. Played it for the record company. They thought it was fantastic. They put it out. It got the best reviews of my life. Instead of people saying, oh, you shouldn't have done this, they were welcoming it with open arms. We're glad to hear what Keith was doing right the last year before he died. And it was great. Got the Billboard charts. I mean, it was really something. I was like, wow, Keith would have just been here for that. Who knows what that would have changed. He would have felt all the other stuff maybe was not as important as he felt it was, although that's a whole different subject. But when you get in that dark hole where you're capable of committing suicide, we can't see into it, and whoever's there can't see out of it. So it's a whole psychological thing that's hard to understand.
Yeah.
Year goes by, great reviews, open arms. People are saying, wow, that is just the best album you've ever done. Keith would be proud, best thing he's ever done. We knew he still had it, but this proves it. Record company calls, we need you to do a follow-up. I said, I can't do a follow-up. Keith's gone. You have any more songs? I said, well, I have one more, and it's almost 10 minutes, almost 9 minutes long. I couldn't use it because it was too long for the last album. There was just enough songs on there. And to be honest, I kind of left it behind because I didn't need it. So, well, you should do another album, and here's why. Frontiers Records has Whitesnake, Journey, Yes, Asia, Boston. I mean, they have everybody on their label. We can't tell you what they sell, but you did really well with the rules that change. You need to do a follow-up. I said, I can't do it without Keith. They, well, you have the one more song. I said, well, and it is 9 minutes long, which is like a third of an album.
It fills up space.
So I made him a deal. I said, I tell you what, if I can write 7 more songs that I would think Keith would have liked to have worked on, would have been proud of, and I'm proud of, and I think I'm doing the right thing for the band 3, then we can do it. And I was half the songwriter and the singer of 3. Keith was the sound and half the writer of 3. So between us, we had the whole 3 package, sound-wise, style-wise, and the voice, of course, means a lot to a band, So it just so happens that I had 10 years of classical piano, and I can play. I started as a keyboard player. I'm no Keith Emerson. Nobody is, right?
Right.
But I can play. And for me, working with him, even back in 1987, 88, we were writing the album and recording stuff. every day he was doing his playing and creating. It was like a piano lesson for me. I'm like, oh my God, look, gee, that's what you, I'd go home and try a few things. His style was always embedded in me too, because I was a fan when I was young, and my early bands played Lucky Man and some of the early ELP stuff, So I was a fan. I could play piano. I worked side by side where I picked up a few pointers from the greatest ever. And when I went to write these 7 songs, they just kind of poured out of me naturally. I can't say it was easy, but it wasn't hard, to do what they needed to be and what I was hoping they'd be. And I had no guarantees that they would be worthy of, I can do another album. I'll always do another album. But this had to be the last 3 album. And Keith called it, and I called it 3.2, because there was no Carl, just the 2 of us doing it. Yeah. So the songs came together. Again, sent it to the record company. Now I have a new manager in England. Sent it to Nick. He said, this is tremendous. And that song, Never, that 9-minute song you and Keith wrote together, that could be the best of all 3 albums. It's really great. People are going to really be excited about that. The record company said the same thing. I said, okay, finish it up, got it to him. I said, okay, great. Then the day before it comes out, I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I felt like the rules have changed, the previous album. What are people going to say? I don't want to ruin the legacy of what 3 had with the top 10 song and all this. And now I don't want to ruin the legacy of the last album. It was a change. Oh, what am I doing? It came out, again, welcome with open arms. And I'd say 75% of reviews say better than the last album, even. Hard to believe kind of stuff, I'm not bragging. I'm just sort of shocked, I'm just happy about it. And it ends the 3 series. There's 3 albums in 3 series. I don't have CDs to all of them, but this was the vinyl for the first album, right? This is the vinyl for the second album. I got the rights back from the record company to do it because I wanted to have them both in vinyl. Well, now this is the new one. It's blue. I need a blue vinyl. I got the rights back on the vinyl to do a 12-inch vinyl on this one. There's only going to be 200 of them. And the whole thing, the whole experience is the best experience a musician could ever have. I'm proud of it. I want to mount those 3 vinyl 12-inch albums on the wall. And only a couple hundred people are going to have copies too, because that's all I'm going to make. So it's the end of an era for me and for the band 3, but it's all gone very, very well, it seems like. So I'm happy. And I talk a lot, you notice that.
That's good. No, it's a beautiful tribute to your friend, certainly.
Well, he still had it. And that was all I was setting out to prove is, hey, because, he got criticized again. They did the Live Wire, High Wire Festival in England before we worked on the album some more. He can't play about all this stuff, and he didn't feel really great about it. He told me it went okay, it wasn't that good. But I knew what he had to offer because I'm a keyboard player and we're songwriters together. We're not just trying to see what kind of music. I mean, we're both capable. We had prolific ideas. I mean, all the time ideas. And I wanted to show that was still capable, and he wasn't washed up, or his arm wasn't so bad he couldn't play. It wasn't all maybe it used to be, but it was great,
Lots of pressure. It's everybody has an opinion. That doesn't mean their opinion matters, but I know it's for some people it's really, it really weighs on them heavy. I've never liked rock critics.
It's and it's unfortunate that we can't get our opinions out really easy, like have some kind of computer thing where you can just say what you want and, oh, wait a minute. We do. That's the unfortunate thing in life right now, the damn Facebook and everything. It's great and it's awful at all the same time.
All at the same time, yeah. Well, you and I were talking a little bit about vinyl before we started on air. So, I mean, you're releasing this album on vinyl. So how come? What's exciting to you about vinyl?
For me, it's like a trophy. It's the coolest process for sharing music there ever was. And again, I'll take the rules that change. We talked a little bit about what younger people that didn't get to experience this, all the pictures, all the notes, sort of like, I don't like reading my news on my iPad. It's there, it's easy to get to, but there's something about having a newspaper that it sounds like some old guy had a newspaper, but there's an emotional connection with an album when you have it. See, I can't even get the emotional connection out of it. But it's the grooves are cut by a guy a special way, and I have a special guy that I use at Fantasy Records to do it. The guy that did the art, all these pictures, some of Keith and I that were never seen. The cover design, carved the whole thing. There's an emotional connection when you listen to the music and you have this in your hand. It's just totally different and it's hard to explain. But I wanted the people that cared enough about the band 3 and Keith, Carl, and I starting and Keith and I finishing it, that they would have this experience. And of course, like I said, I want to have the 3 album covers up on the wall in a frame. You can't see them maybe, but see if I could swing this around. My whole history is, there's pictures of 3 no one's ever seen. All the bands I had growing up. There's Greg Kihn there, Sammy Hagar, Neil Sean Journey, Eddie Money. All these people hanging out. My band Hush, Ambrosia, Sammy Hagar over there. I got to have these 3 albums up there as part of my history. So when people come in my studio, they get to share in that. It's just something I like to do. Now I got to get this all situated. Now I've made a mess out of it.
Oh, awesome. I know about vinyl too. I have albums that I spent so many hours with. I have every inch of them memorized. For sure. I could recreate them from memory.
Yeah, it's a different connection with that.
Yep.
Now it used to be great when Apple iTunes was going, because artists would get, they charge 99 cents for a song and the artists would get like 60 cents of that. Now at the streaming, everybody gets everything free. They don't care. They put iPods in their head and they play it. And the emotional connection is only if you like the song or not. There's no other, what is it, extra terrestrial, whoever it is, coming towards you, there's none of that feeling the album cover, reading the notes, and actually owning it. When there's something about owning something, it gives you ownership in it, that, hey, this is mine and I paid money for it. I wanted it. And I don't know, all that's going away. Maybe it's not a terrible thing, but it is terrible that people don't know that part of the feeling. Like you just said, you knew everything about those albums, they don't know that.
So many bands, I know what label they were on because I looked at the records and the album covers so much. I know who they recorded with and
studios. I have a state-of-the-art studio here. It's 1,500 square feet. I have a old Neve console, all this tube gear, the latest Pro Tools. I have the best everything, and I get that for myself. And then 5 days a week, I use it on clients. I was mixing a country album that I recorded here before we talked, and I do all kinds of music. I love it, but this is the best of everything. And there's just something about it that if I was in my bedroom recording, I can have Pro Tools in my bedroom. Of course, I don't have a big drum room and the grand concert grand piano and all that I wouldn't have. But there's just something different, and people still come in the studio that want to do real music and feel that, and the history here of Keith was here, Carl was here. We rehearsed here for the 3 tour even. All these guys from the Tubes, from Boston, Sammy Hagar's band, they've all been in the studio for one reason or another. The guys from Smash Mouth, before Smash Mouth was big, recorded in the Front Studio, which isn't my studio, but I rent them in that studio. And they were nobody, local band, because they're from San Jose area here.
Yeah.
They were up there before they made it. It's just when you walk in the building, you feel all that, just like when you own an album, even if it's a CD and it has a booklet. You have to have pretty good eyes to be able to read them, but it's the same thing. There's ownership, and there's some kind of connection to the heart and soul when you own something.
Yeah,
I think.
True.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I was listening to some of your new releases, the song "A Bond of Union." So I've been going through some stuff dealing with my elderly mom, and that song really really hit me, you know. And I was curious what that song means to you. Where did that song come from for you? Because that's a really beautiful song. The content is really intense.
Yeah, I'll run it backwards because I think it's important. I wanted to write a song that everybody could find their parents in, just not me, right? I wanted everybody to, because I think, and I know a couple of bad parents that their kids have turned out great. A good friend of mine, a producer in LA, grew up in the house behind my studio. His dad is a video guy, and his stepmom did more cocaine. They lost their business. The dad was a jerk. I hope that he doesn't see this. I'm not going to say his name because he's a great kid. He overcame all that, right? He had bad parents. That made him a great person. A lot of us, probably you, me, had the greatest parents in the world. All those people sacrificed something to have kids. And my dad had a band, a big band, like Frank Sinatra kind of music. My mom sang in the band. She was the singer. When I came along, my dad opened a music store. When I was really little, that music store and the kind of organs and pianos he sold imported Vox amplifiers, which is what the Beatles use. It's just a stroke of luck. So my dad had Vox that the Beatles use, though. Every band that was well known, and in those days around here, we had a couple of hit bands. That Count Five had Psychotic Reaction, and the Syndicate of Sound had Hey Little Girl. Those were 60s bands. They would come into my dad's store because they wanted to see what the Beatles used, those kind of amps, and they were beautiful amps. And they sounded fantastic. I got affected by that with what my dad did and having a band. So now I have a music store. I have a recording studio. I have a band. Well, it happens to be with Keith Emerson and a bunch of other famous guys. Greg Kihn, who maybe you've talked to. I don't know if you've talked to Greg yet, but I'm in Greg Kihn's band as a bass player and co-writer, besides my solo career. So I always wanted to be my dad, but it was my mom who made me who I am today. They got me piano lessons starting at 6. I didn't really like playing classical piano, especially since my dad had the music store. The piano teacher made sure I did all the music teacher's recitals, star pupil and all that. I don't think it was all that good, but she pushed me, and German lady, very tough. My mom realized I didn't enjoy that and it was hard to get me to practice. So she had the lady teach me boogie woogie piano. That I loved. Oh, wow, this is cool, right? And at the same time did the classical. Then I got in high school. She's still like trying to make sure I get exposed to more piano. She got me a jazz piano teacher. And this guy played nightclubs and everything. So it was kind of cool. I kind of dug the guy. Jay Dorset name. Great player, kind of an oddball, kind of beatnik kind of guy in the old terms, I really dug it. I was like, oh, this guy's cool. I got that going, then got in bands. She saw that I had to sing. She got me a singing teacher, but not just anybody. He was the president of San Jose State University, the big college here, where I wound up going to college eventually. He was the head of the music department. She didn't push me into anything, but she was right behind me, supporting me. And if I had the slightest interest, she could tell I liked playing piano. I just didn't like playing, 6 years of classical piano. We need to move that along. And I had 10 years of piano lessons. So it was my mom who made me who I am today. I wanted to be my dad, but my mom made me who I am. And they were both really great. I'll say gentle people that they raised kids with rules, they weren't always as sweet, I was. So I wanted to write this song. And my mom, for the last year and a half of her life, had dementia really bad. But before that, she was the most giving, like Mother Teresa, right? Give, help everybody. Her hairdresser's husband leaves her. My mom, I come home and our living room furniture's gone. And what are you doing? I'm going to get some new furniture. Why? We didn't need it because the hairdresser's husband left. He took the furniture. I gave her our furniture. Okay, okay. My dad was fine with it. He's the same way. They liked helping people, right? So here I am. Now I'm not going to squeeze the middle. I got to write this song because it's important to me. My mom just died, and dementia made her somebody she wasn't. She was mean. She was only 110 pounds when she's alive. She was 65 pounds when she died, 60 pounds. She is mean, spiteful. She hadn't talked to me for a year. I have this goatee, and for some reason, not that she wouldn't talk to me, but she couldn't. She just sort of look at you, really angry, or whatever. She's gonna say, if anything come out of her mouth, it'd be bad. But she didn't mean it. She couldn't help it. I shaved off the goatee a week before she died, just because I wanted to take some pictures without it. And I walked in the house because I took her to breakfast every morning before she couldn't go out anymore. And I walk in and she goes, "My son's here." She hadn't spoken for a year to me of anything that was direct, but without the beard and stuff, she recognized me and it computed. And so I thought, here's my chance. Mom, I got this album out and it's doing really well. And, Greg and I are touring and everything going at the studio's good, because she always liked coming to the studio and seeing it. And she's looking at me with that look again. I'm thinking, oh boy. So I said, "Everything okay?" She goes, last words to me, "Why do you talk so much?" And I just love that. I just thought, as you can see, It's true. And next week she was gone. So I had to write this song. And it was important to me on that level. And I had to make it about more than my mom and dad, and to make about everybody's mom and dad, hopefully. And you should look up the lyric video that was done by a guy in the Austrian hills.
I have seen it.
And it's a lyric video, which usually they're not that great. They have some pictures of the words going across it. This guy, it gives me goosebumps. I swear it's like a movie. It just feels so lovely with the song. There's really something. Anyway.
I saw it. It's very good. And it resonated with me, certainly.
I hope your mom is not to the stage my mom got to.
It's Alzheimer's. So
okay.
I'm just kind of starting to deal with it. So
and this isn't to be rude, but that's the way I want to go. Because we don't know. It's you and me that to deal with it. But if it's you having it, you don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
And no, that's not the way I want to go. That's I'm just joking with you, but that's too bad. And you get a few good days maybe here and there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing.
No.
And we all go through it in one way.
Yeah. And the piano solo in that song is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a piano player as well, so I totally appreciate that.
How many years of piano lessons did I have? 10? I better do something with piano if it's a song for my mom.
Well, it was really nice.
Yeah. Do you still play?
Not as much as I should. But I sat down the other day for the first time in a while, and I can still read music well. I was a little scared. I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read. Yeah. And I played a couple of things I haven't really played before. I was flipping through some books and I was able to read through it. So I need to play more. I miss it.
Well, that's important, but that you have a piano is still important too. A lot of people get rid of their pianos. So.
Oh, no. I would never do that.
That's great.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Greg Kihn. So I grew up in Montana in a smallish town, and I was a huge music fan as a kid from when I was pretty little. And Elton John, one of my very first favorites, piano player. But the first concert I saw was at our little civic center, and it was a Greg Kihn Band. He came to town. I want to say it was 1981. So it was like the first real rock concert I ever saw. So
wow. You know, we played actually, because I've been in the band 15 years, not that long, but I'm his co-writer and stuff, and a bass player. We had an album out a few years ago, but we're working on a new one now. We played Montana, and I can't remember what the thing is. It was out in the dirt, right in the middle of nowhere.
Rockin' the Rivers?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, and at the last minute, they had to move us inside because of a dust storm or something. Does that make sense?
Dust, yeah, lightning, who knows, something.
Yeah, right.
Lots of weather there.
Yeah, we were playing with Night Ranger. So, which we know those guys a little bit because they're Bay Area guys too,
Second concert I ever saw, Night Ranger opening for ZZ Top.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm surprised that Greg and I don't get to the Midwest more, anywhere in the Midwest, because, well, it's just music lovers there. And they especially like the kind of music Greg Kihn does, which is simple rock and roll, straightforward. You know, the progressive stuff I do isn't as popular in the Midwest. It's a West Coast and East Coast where all the loony birds are. But for Greg and I've actually talked to his manager about it. And manager is talking about loony birds. They just don't make it happen. And I can't figure out why, because that's the market for us to go play for really great music loving people. Yeah. Where are you now? What state?
Southern California. So now I kind of have the pick of the litter. So
I'll take back that loony bird comment, unless you still hold on to your Montana roots.
I do, but I'm also proud to be loony.
Well, Southern California, if you're in the right place, it's a lot of fun, you know. I'm in Silicon Valley, so we have a lot of Asperger's here, you know, that autism where, you know, they like the men don't know how to ask a woman out on a date and stuff because they're just scientific and, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's weird. There's I mean, you know, here's where my studio is. You go that way for 1 mile, it's where Netflix started. That's the Netflix. They have 3 campuses there. If you go that way for 1 mile, eBay, where eBay started,
Wow.
they have 10 campuses there. You go 2 miles that way, it's the big Apple complex, the big round thing, looks like a spaceship they built. 2 miles. Now you go, you know, downtown San Jose, there's Facebook, there's, I mean, everything. This kind of high-tech stuff starts here. We're the Valley of Heart's Delight originally for all the fruit. Then we became where a lot of these places like Apple started, and out by Stanford, there's all the what they call them, venture capitalists and stuff. Now it's spread out all over the country, but these things started here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of weirdos here. I mean, they're not really weirdos. It's just that I'm a musician, so you know, they're all cerebral. That's this part of the brain. I'm a musician. That's this part of the brain. You know, it's and every one of those.
Make sure and keep that vinyl and analog recording alive too.
There you go.
In the midst of all that.
Yeah, they got every CEO. It seems like here though has a Les Paul guitar under his bed. A lot of musicians.
Everybody wants to be a rock star. Doesn't matter what they're doing.
That's right. Well, I don't know about Elon Musk. You know, Fremont, where Tesla sort of started here, is, I mean, it's probably 10 miles down the road north towards San Francisco. Tesla. I mean, if you probably see a lot of Teslas where you are.
Yes.
But I'd say at least 1 out of every 8 cars is a Tesla here. It's crazy. I have 2 of them. I have a Roadster. My wife has an X. You know, I mean, we love them. But that's where we live. Wow. Southern California. Oh, you seem like such a nice girl.
Well, I had another question. So I'm a big Rush fan. You can see my Rush shirt.
Oh, yes.
I was on a Rush fan site the other day, and somebody asked the question, besides Alex Lifeson, who's your favorite guitarist? And probably half of the responses was Steve Howe. And I know you have had the pleasure of working closely with Steve Howe over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys met and what you've done together?
You know, that was a great time in my life. I could have stayed there and done that for the rest of my life. It was such a great time. Carl Palmer and I trying to start this band. This is before I ever met Keith. And we tried some people here, Jolene Turner from Rainbow.
I love it.
A few other people. Then he flew me in the management, flew me to England, and we worked with Don Aries, who plays, I think now maybe he's in Deep Purple. He's a keyboard player. We tried a few other people. It just didn't click. You know, just things. I mean, it wasn't like it was bad. It just wasn't special. And Carl had been in ELP in Asia. I mean, big bands, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm over there. And the manager takes me aside. He goes, "Look, Steve Howe needs a keyboard player, guitar player in GTR, which is a band that Steve started with Steve Hackett from Genesis. And they didn't see eye to eye, so Steve Hackett left." And I said, "Oh, okay. And what about it?" He goes, "Steve wants to have lunch with you tomorrow. He heard your cassette tape that Geffen Records had played Carl." And, okay. Yeah, so here's his address. Just go to his house. I said, "His house?" I was a big Yes fan. I mean, Rick Wakeman, Chris Squire. I mean, one of my Chris Squire, Paul McCartney are my bass idols. That's who I just worship. I said, his house? Yeah, okay. So I take a taxi to his house. His wife's there, nice could be. He's got a couple little kids running around throwing popcorn. There's no discipline in the house whatsoever, right? And I'm like, wow, he seemed like a mellow guy. It was pretty mellow. And I met his son Dylan, who's a great drummer now. I mean, but I don't really know him. But he just sort of walked through the house. Oh, that's my son. Oh, and we talked for a while. Had a cup of tea. I hate tea. But I drank it because I was on Steve Howe's house. I wanted to pick up popcorn off the floor and eat it. But that, he goes, well, I like what I heard on your cassette tape, and Brian speaks highly of you, the manager. Here's a couple of my songs I've been working on. See what you do with them. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you at lunch tomorrow. Come by the house. So he sends me home with 24 hours to work on 2 songs, right?
Wow.
And I get home. He was such a lovely guy. This one song was You're to Blame. And I thought that the guy I just met would not blame me. He'd say there's no one else to blame but me. Let's fix this, right? He was just a really good guy. So I went about totally rewriting and turning that song inside out and doing what I thought would be the best. Yeah, I'm a nobody. I mean, I'm just a musician that has some good demos, I guess, But I felt that if I did my best work the way I wanted to do it with Steve's songs, and no compromise, this is what I would do, and then hand it to him. If he likes it, we could have a relationship, a writing partnership forever. But if I fake it, well, let me make it more like, yes, I'll try to make it sound like this. It wouldn't be real and wouldn't last. So I worked till like 4 a.m. on these 2 songs. And I went back to his place the next day. And I said, Steve, they're too hard for me just to sing and play. Can I record it? So he engineered a little demo for me, put down the guitar part, and I sang, I have a little harmony. And he was very quiet. And I said, well, and here's the lyrics. And he goes, no, I hear the lyrics. Let me listen to it one more time. And he sat back, and he smokes a lot of hash. So he sat back, he turned it off. He said, that is the best co-writing effort I've ever done with anybody, wow, except for since John Anderson of Yes.
Wow.
And I was like, it was magic for me. I don't know, because me being such a big Yes fan and a keyboard player and a guitar player, let's say, I knew what I wanted at a GTR, as a fan. So I put that into it with all the respect toward what they were, what Steve wanted this band to be. And it just worked. And I say that because, I was doing in the 90s tribute albums, and I did a Rush tribute album.
Nice.
One of the songs I did was Different Strings. Oh, and it's a mellow song. And you should check that, because I put like 4-part vocals in it, and it's a beautiful song. And
I will check that out.
Yeah, I also did The Mission, which is a fantastic song with Eric Martin. I did the music for it. I sang a little bit with him too. But I take what I like about something and I put myself into it as if I was in the band now. I don't try to do a tribute. I say, okay, if I was in Rush now, what would I do to bring it forward? And this was in the 90s. They actually kept coming forward,
Yeah.
But so that's what it was with Steve Howe. It was great. Steve loved it. Went out to his farm in Devon with him. We wrote more. I became a macrobiotic vegetarian for a while because that's what he was, sort of like the tea. I like to assimilate, right? And I had never slept so good in my life because it's like pureed baby food. There's nothing to digest. Your body doesn't have to work on anything. You're just out here. Okay, that's it. Asleep. It was really a great time in my life. But the singer in that band didn't like it that I was the new guy, the only American, came into town. What? No, I'm the guy. I'm Steve Howe's like right-hand man. What's going on? He wouldn't let me sing my parts without doubling me. And he sang so loud you couldn't hear me. And basically the same way I went about writing with Steve is sort of my code of ethics for myself. If it's not working, if I don't feel like I can give 110% and nothing has to go all my way, but let me do what I can do and take or leave, whatever. We're a partnership, right? And he wouldn't do that, so I quit.
Wow.
And here I am, a guy that had the band Hush here in town, which opened for Rush. That was a weird thing. Hush Rush. And the road crew was very mean to us. I'm a huge Geddy Lee fan, though. So I was ready to come home. I said, can't do it. Wrote Steve a letter, wrote a letter to the guys that harassed me, say, hey, good luck. I wrote all the songs with Steve you need. You have a few other ones. You got the record company okayed the deal. I spent 9 months here doing this. You got what you need. You don't need me, obviously. Told the manager, he was so mad at me. Why'd you do that? Everything's all signed up and ready to go. They can still use the songs. Yeah, but they wanted you, and the record company wanted somebody else in the band, So that was on a Monday or a Sunday, I guess. On Monday, he calls me and says, Keith Emerson wants to have lunch with you. And I went, yeah, I'm leaving Wednesday. He goes, tomorrow. Oh, okay. So I meet Keith Emerson for lunch. And I think, as a keyboard player, I'm thinking that Keith Emerson's gonna be like Einstein. He won't be able to complete a sentence. He'll talk in equations. I won't be able to understand a word this guy says because he's just this crazy mad genius, right? And he wound up being so comfortable to have lunch with, so funny, so down to earth, everything I wasn't expecting. And it became a lifelong, his life anyway, friendship that I still cherish, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been very, very lucky. I got to play Sammy Hagar for a couple of years because Van Halen wanted to kick him out and they didn't want him using Michael Anthony. And I knew him. I do some keyboard stuff for recordings. And he asked me to be his bass player. So it's like, okay, good.
Nice. One of the things talking about kind of putting a different spin or your spin on things, one of the projects that you had that really fascinated me was December People. I love as reading that, what you were doing there. Is that still active? Is that something you're still doing?
It is, and I was very rude and had to have you hold for a second because the PR person for December People, that was her on the phone. And she's talking to people at Kelly Clarkson about, because she has a TV show evidently that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
What we're trying to get this year is to get on, like Oprah used to do her big giveaway one show or something, and Ellen does that. They give Christmas away to everybody in the audience. We do December People for food banks and homeless shelters. And we believe that every small little town or city could solve their own problem with this homelessness. It's so bad, in California.
Yes, it's awful.
Look, we're the 7th largest economy in the world in California. I think maybe the Bay Area here is actually 7th largest economy in the world. That means possibly we have a bigger economy than Italy. I'm not sure what the 7 above us are, the 6 above us, but we have a lot of money here. If we can't solve this, the federal government's not going to do it. They just don't care enough for something. I don't know what it is. Obviously they have the money that bailed us out for the coronavirus problem. Huh? All that money was just sitting there. And if it wasn't sitting there, they printed it. So why not print it to do something about opening mental institutions for the real sick that are on the streets and getting people housing and making it like the Peace Corps or something where they have to work to remain in their housing to give them some pride and get them going. And there's plenty of jobs. I mean, sure, people don't want to do the $12 an hour jobs, but they're there and there's pride involved and it gets you going. We could solve it. December People believes that every little city, town, we have 20 of them right here in what I call San Jose. It's Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Campbell. I mean, there's all kinds of, if we all took care of our own, we could solve it. Those food banks can make $20 worth $200 worth of food. They know what to do. They know how to get it. In this town, they do a lot of conventions, a lot of high-tech companies with money that when you go to their big Comic-Con or whatever it is, and people stay at hotels, so much food is thrown away afterwards because they can't keep it. Well, they have ways to get that to the homeless shelters and stuff. It's still not helping enough, but some people are making it work. It just needs to happen on a bigger scale. And so that's December People. We take the biggest classic rock songs there ever were, Stairway to Heaven, and we morph it together with The Night Before Christmas, where
Oh, cool.
let's say Tom Petty, Running on a Dream, is Silver Bells. It fits like a glove. You would think that Silver Bells should have been done a la One Night Before Christmas. No, Silver Bells should have been done by Tom Petty instead of Running on a Dream. I get them mixed up here. Santa Claus Coming to Town, like ZZ Top, LaGrange.
Very nice.
We have 4 albums of it. I mean, and they all fit like a glove. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears is Silent Night. It fits like a glove. You think that would have been a hit if the words were Silent Night, because it's the real lyrics, the real melody of the holiday song, but the style and all the riffs and the things from the classic rock song. So when people come to see us, I like to say they get the joke. We couldn't do it last year, of course. We did put out a Queen song, We'll Rock You, as Up on the Rooftop as a video, just because we needed to do something. Year before, playing live, we did In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins as We Three Kings, and we did it first. And there's that big that drum roll in there, right? And that kicks in the whole thing, and it's singing We Three Kings. And we have so much fun. It's a guitar player from Boston. It's me from whatever band you want to pick that I've been in. Drummer from Sammy Hagar. The keyboard player from the Tubes, if you know the Tubes are, White Punks on Dope.
Yeah.
Jack Foster's a solo artist, international. And it's a really good band. And it's a lot of fun.
Wow. So are you going to tour this year, do you think? I got to see this.
Well, we want to, right now, honestly, I'm trying to find a new manager for it that is strong enough to make it happen. It's such a powerful thing. Trans-Siberian is huge, but Trans-Siberian doesn't have the kind of music we have. We have every song. Hot for Teacher, we do Jingle Bells. Van Halen, right?
I have to hear this.
And we put a little bit of Panama on there. Jingle bells, it fits like a glove. And so it's the biggest songs, AC/DC. What is it? I can't even remember. I can look at the album now. We got so many of them. We'll do Back in Black as something. And we have 9-year-old, 12-year-old kids coming up. I like that AC/DC,
Christmas song.
Yeah. I got it around here somewhere. Hold on a second. I'm gonna grab it right here. This is the last CD. They're all on my website too, but of course on CDs, and it's too dark in here to be able to tell. This is like fan favorites. It's Saint Nick's Pick. Cool. And we have 4 albums besides that of this stuff, and it's just so much fun. But a manager, we need a powerful manager to get the booking agents to do this right. We usually play 10 shows a year, and we should be doing 50. We can only play in November, December. That's the holiday time. But there's enough. We could do 50 shows in those 2 months, or maybe a little bit into January before New Year's,
I'm always looking for some non-traditional way to celebrate the holidays. So that is right up my alley.
You can look at that on YouTube also. In fact, you'll see a version we did in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, with bell ringers. We did the Stairway to Heaven mashup with The Night Before Christmas, and the whole intro, like the 12-string Jimmy Page plays, is done by bells.
Wow.
Dun, 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 and it's
cool.
amazing. They walk in, they do the bell, then they walk off when it gets heavy, because we have a little cashmere, heavy part in the middle. And then we do an ELP song to Little Drummer Boy, and the whole marching band drum corps comes in and plays it with us. It's tremendous, and it really is a lot of fun.
Where's the best place to look for it? If you do end up touring, what's the best place to find tour dates? And
it'll always be on my website, robertberry.com. It's just hard to say what's going to happen with touring right now.
It is still, yeah. I see concerts are starting to kind of, get booked, but I'm tentative about. I got stuck I had a pile of tickets when everything went on hiatus, and I got credit for some of them, but I'm still fighting with the ticket agencies over some of them. So yeah, everything's still a little bit tentative, I think.
Yeah, I have a hard, even though I'm not worried about it, I always say, I've lived like a singer my whole life. That means I have Purell on my jacket. I always I've just, that's had to be my life. If I got sick, I couldn't sing. So I don't touch doorknobs out Purell, and I don't turn on light switches. Somebody coughs, I go, oh my God, So I wasn't so worried about the COVID. I know how to take care of myself, although I did get my vaccination and stuff. I'm not an idiot, but even me, who tried to live as normal as possible, I don't think I could play a 5,000 seater and it'll be packed. I don't think there's enough people to pack those places. Maybe a 250 seat club, there's enough people that will say, oh, I'm vaccinated, I'm safe. And that'll have 250 people. But 5,000 people in a place, I'm just not sure people are comfortable enough to go for that. I'm not sure, but we have Shoreline and stuff here is pretty big, and they're selling shows now. And I hope they do okay, because it's not just the band has to get paid, it's those lighting guys and those ticket takers and those ushers, and
Lots of people, yeah.
there's a lot going on. And a third of a house, if you're only going to sell a third of the tickets for social distancing, concerts will never come back like that. There's just too much money lost, unless bands want to put their fees really low, and then you can't make money on touring or selling music. I can't make a living then. So we'll see.
No, I think live music was hit the worst of all. It was the first thing to shut down, and it's still not.
Entertainment of all kinds. Yeah, I just went to Vegas, my stepdaughter's birthday. She hasn't been there before. Her boyfriend lives in Oklahoma. Flew him in. Rebecca and I went there, and we love seeing the Love show, the Beatles show. It's amazing how good it sounds and the work they did. It's not open yet, and we were only there for a day, so we flew in, flew out. But there's people all over the place, and not only shows open, it's just people drinking and gambling. It's like, well, we'll see how that works. I don't know.
Yeah, I miss the live music terrible, as I'm sure you do too. So
yeah, it's everything in entertainment. That's why I say the Love show's not on. All those dancers, riggers, lighting people, they all got hit. Booking agents, ticket agencies. There's no reason to have a ticket agency, was there? Except for to give refunds. That's a money losing business right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much for your time. This has been an honor to talk with you.
Wow.
I really have enjoyed this. So thank you.
I appreciate your help. This is the last 3 albums. There's 3 of them. This is the last one. I won't do another one. Even if they called, do you have anything left? I don't have nothing left. There's nothing. I believe that, like with Rush, the man they lost wasn't only a fantastic drummer, but he wrote some incredible lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
They need to do something else. And if they don't, I'm not going to hate them for it, but put another drummer in Rush, I don't know. It's a big missing piece, and I think that 3 needs to stop here. I don't want to get another keyboard player, another drummer and do it. It's just, I will have the 3.2 band. That's my solo band. And we play my 30-year history in progressive rock, starting with Steve Howe and GTR, which you mentioned, and going through all the people I played with. It's a 2-hour show of all kinds of stuff that I never thought I'd get to play live. And it's pretty exciting. So we had a European tour cancel in 2020. So I'm hoping that comes back on.
Yeah, it's been tough. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to leave you.
Well, look at some of those videos. Go on, look at Night Before Christmas for December people. Definitely. And actually, you'll love the Tom Petty one too. It really is. That's a real video. It's really cute. There's a bunch of things to look at. People want to check it out on my website, then go there and look for all kinds of stuff.
Outstanding. Well, I hope I will get a chance to see. I will look for you live. I will come and see you
Very
live
good.
as soon as I get the opportunity. So
now I'm hoping we get down there. Is San Diego or Los Angeles area?
I'm in the LA area. Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, we almost got there. I forget what year it was, a couple years ago, and something happened, and we had to go Kansas and all, the Midwest.
Yeah,
and
I travel for music. destination concerts, totally up for it.
Oh,
So
that's great. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, I can tell you love it. Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
That's what makes you a good interviewer too, because you love and you care about it. That's really,
It's my passion. Yep. I don't know if I'd be here if it wasn't for music. So
well, you take care of your mom. I
thank
wish you
you.
luck with that. And I hope to talk to you again. I got something else next year. It's going to be brand new. So we'll see if we get to talk again then.
Outstanding. I would love that.
All right.
Thanks very much, Robert.
Thank you. I'll talk to you
Take
again.
care. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.